Hello and welcome to the Gauntlet Hangouts. My name is Lowell. Tonight we are playing this cyberpunk game called The Veil, one of my favorite games, maybe my favorite PBTA game that I haven't written. Uh, and But we're not playing it in cyberpunk. Fraser Simon has created a marvelous game that I love and I've adapted in a number of other ways. Today we are taking it and kind of doing urban fantasy in a high fantasy city, like the city dwellers in a high fantasy city. And this is a city that several months ago, a number of us created with a microscope session. So we've got some basic details about it. I have gone through nearly all of the Veil playbooks and kind of reskinned them slightly. I've made some other changes to the system, and we are going to see how well this works. Our players have chosen their playbooks. This is a session 0.5. So the first half of this session is going to be taken up with character creation, and then we're going to get to play some leading questions and play in the second half. So if you like AP videos but don't like character creation, skip on forward. You can do that. This is, as I mentioned, part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. The Gauntlet is an online gaming community. It is in part supported by Patreon. Patreon membership gets you access to sort of early access to our online sessions, but you don't have to do that. After the first week of patron access, anybody can sign up for our sessions. We've got a couple hundred sessions on the calendar each month now. We also have a zine that goes to Patreon backers. And then outside of that, we have a blog. We have multiple podcasts. It's awesome. I think it's worth checking out. So we are going to be doing this character creation building. And Sherry, quickly remind me which playbook you chose.
I chose a doppelganger of a wizard.
Okay.
So a doppelganger.
Doppelganger.
With
All
wizard
right.
color.
Okay. And Chris, which one did you choose?
I'm going with the heretic.
Okay, going with the heretic. And then Tyler, which one did you choose?
I am going with the familiar.
Okay. So I've got those playbooks in there, and all of you are familiar with PBTA, so you can start to work through the things that are there on that sheet. If you have questions about what they mean or about where things need to go, then stop and ask me. Once we get a ways into that, when we're kind of getting towards the end, then we'll talk about your beliefs, gear, trouble, XP, all of those things, but we'll hold off on a little bit on that until after we get introductions. So I'm going to kind of let you move forward on that. I do want to mention all three of you I've played with before, so you know this, but for anyone watching at home, the Gauntlet uses safety tools for all of its online gaming. And my safety tool of choice for these kinds of 4 or 5 session games with a couple of hours of play each session is the X card. So you may hear people say, I want X card that, or they may put it in the chat. They may do that based on material being objectionable, things hitting on phobias, things they're uncomfortable with. But it also can be about things going way off tone, things not clicking, things being way off from your expectations of where the game was going to go. And those are things that we can mark out. With the X card says, hey, we're going to go past this. We're going to exit from that. We're going to cut it out and move on. No questions asked. It is a hard cut thing. If you want discussion, then call to the table and maybe we'll poll the table about things that you want to have happen or shifts that you want to make. So that is out there. Does anyone have any questions during this initial process? If you've looked at your playbooks and you've looked at what's there, anybody have anything that you want, you're uncertain about right now? Okay. I'm going to let you go. And I will come back to you in a few minutes and we'll kind of check in and see where everybody's at. I'm going to mute myself. Don't forget when you're putting those moves in to put in your intimacy move. That's the one I always forget to carry over.
What are you supposed to put under people? And job.
Human, elf, dwarf, anything like that is will go under people.
I'll go all of the above.
Whatever. I mean, you could say ambiguous. That is fair to say. And for job, I'd like you to describe what you think your character does for a living to survive. What is their gig?
Okay, cool.
So we've got 5 more minutes, and then I want to talk about choosing a belief, and we'll talk about what that means in just a couple minutes here. So Taylor Swift put out a new song. It's not very good, but it is in my head and it's killing me.
Doesn't that mean that it is a good song? Even
I
if
don't
you
know
refuse to
if that's
acknowledge
the
that.
case. I don't know.
At least it's a good pop song.
Good pop song. Sherry, don't forget to do your stats, your states. I would like to take a sec and talk about some of the other picks you're going to make. On the gear and miscellaneous tab, you'll see I have standard gear and advanced gear. You guys will begin with a hand-to-mouth existence, a basic 2-harm weapon, and simple clothes. You also start with 2 gold. How you got that is entirely a different question. If you get access to advanced gear, then you can take your picks from the advanced gear list. If you have just other access to standard gear, you get your picks from the standard gear list. You get 4 picks. 4 picks. You don't have to pick them now. You can pick them as you wish. If you get access to advanced gear, you can trade down. And for each pick you'd get on advanced gear, you could get 2 picks off of standard. And vice versa. If you want a cool thing, people who have only access to standard, it takes you 2 picks to take an advanced gear pick. You'll notice that the gear includes lodgings and clothes and things like that. So these are all things that you have. But that's something that we can deal with after a bit. The other tab that I want to point you to is the Beliefs, Trouble, and XP tab, because I want to talk about that briefly, even kind of before we go to introductions for our characters. Each of you is going to choose a belief. These beliefs are patterned as essentially X versus Y. So I'm glad I gave up X to do Y. I was taught X, but now I know Y. These should be beliefs that you want to engage with and maybe have questioned during the course of your play. So they are kind of abstract. Vale leaves these pretty open, but I wanted to give you a kind of a formula to fall back on. We're just going to work with a single belief for this. So think about that. Now, how this is going to play in during the game is that testing those beliefs and countering them is a way of generating XP. So at the end of a session, you're going to get XP for misses. Okay. So I get to say, well, the good news is you get to mark XP. But at the end of a session, we're also going to check, did you encounter a situation which forced you to challenge or question your belief? If you did, you're going to get an XP for that. And then there's some other questions there. Did you face danger because of your trouble? If not, did you at least make some gold? Did you create a new debt, call in a debt on someone else, or pay off a debt you owe? And did you learn something significant about a city? Each of those questions, each yes is going to get you an XP at the end of a session. 5 XP gets you an advance. Advances also cost money. So you want to get some gold or have some gold around. You don't want to do that too badly. The other thing that you're going to pick that is on this tab, you will see in this multicolored tab here, is I have put together 20 different crappy situations you could start in the middle of at the start of the game. Usually they have a group or a name that's causing you a problem. Some of them are kind of open-ended. We get to define what that trouble is. You're going to choose one of those troubles, and then you're going to choose an NPC from my list of NPCs off to the side that is tied up with that. Either they're a friend that got you caught up in it, or it's somebody you know that's connected to it, or they're the ones that are behind it. You're going to figure out a starting trouble and an NPC starting NPC that is attached to that. I have put together quite the list of NPCs there. There are 30 NPCs and 20 triples. You can see that I have priorities in my daily life right there. And I spent all that time writing those things out. So those are things you're going to be making choices on. I want to give you another 5 minutes to finish up. And then we are going to have everyone introduce themselves, going to get those descriptors, and we're going to look at your playbooks, and you're going to look at the debt questions that I put there, and you're going to choose someone that owes you a debt of the PCs and someone that you owe a debt to from those questions. So let me give you another 5 minutes. Also, I'm going to go ahead and hide the extra column just to make it easier for us to look on the page. We'll open it up. Should he arrive?
Well, where did you say it's listed what gear you start with?
Oh, so there's a gear and miscellaneous tab.
But I mean, what does everyone start with the same? Or
Yeah, everyone starts with clothes, a weapon, and hand-to-mouth existence. Plus 2
okay,
gold.
plus 2 gold, and we can buy the rest of our stuff with the gold.
Absolutely. Well, you'll get the gear picks. You get the additional picks off of that. So, like, you've got your mage of sorts, so you're going to get 4 picks off the standard gear list in addition to those things.
Oh, okay. Is that listed in that spot? What you get?
Yeah, I got a whole big list of exciting choices for you.
No, I meant the amount that you get based on your class or whatever.
Oh no, everybody gets 4 picks.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
So Lowell, when it says that I have it says you have access to advanced gear picks. It means I have 1?
It
Or I have
means
4.
that you get 4 picks, and you can take your picks from the advanced gear list.
So I can take 4 picks from that?
Yeah. In addition to having the simple clothes, the basic weapon, and the hand-to-mouth existence. So choose carefully.
Okay. All right, off I go to choose carefully.
Okay. I think the only person who gets a different number of picks is, I think, the guild agent, which is the version of the executive, gets more stuff.
Oh my God, Lowell, these NPCs are off the hook.
Okay. John just messaged me. It is a fact of our existence in the online world that if you get close to the end of character creation and someone is missing, they will show up at that moment. But we will get
Good.
him set up.
Gives us more time.
We'll give you some. We'll let him have those moments, and we'll roll into introductions while he's doing that. Thank you. Thank you, Google Chrome. Yes, thank you.
Let's write a picture.
I'm taking final form, and I want to kind of just ask you where you think the parameters of it are.
Okay.
I know that in like I know this is a little bit based on the connected or whatever that
Attached.
Yeah. Attached. That's it. And in it, you kind of it was a mechanical thing that you got inside of a lot of times, or whatever you could do with it. And my thought is, when we've joined together, we become a big panther. Does that seem to be?
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. It could shape change. It could just lend you its strength. I can see a number of ways that could work. But yes, I think shifting into something like that makes perfect sense.
And what does the mechanical aspects of that mean? Is it primarily fictional justification? Do I like get to use like with its claws? Would it have a weapon set with its claws?
Yeah, let me take a quick look just to make sure I'm giving you the right sense. So I'm going to look here at the attached here from the Veil book.
Well, I guess I could have done that. I'm a silly person.
And so yeah, so when this move is chosen, you need to pitch the GM what merge configuration will be. And so if you want your that form to be a big battle cat, it could be that. You can do that, or you could become a small cat or whatever. It's up to you how you want to define that. And we can certainly play with that.
Okay.
Hey, John. John, do you need the links or anything? Or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. So you're gonna take the cursed. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and get started on doing those picks. You've played the Veil before, right?
I haven't.
Okay. You should be able to just work through the playbooks and make those choices. For the states, those are your stats: mad, sad, fear, peace, joy, power. You'll notice that they're balanced against one another, like mad and peace kind of balance against each other, sad and joy, fear and power. You are going to be putting in +2, +1, +1, 0, 0, and then -1. That's actually in the little note field on the states cell. So you can, if you need to reference that. I'm going to let you make those picks and kind of do that. I think what we might do here is let's take for the others. Let's take a quick 5-minute break to give John a little bit of a chance to catch up, and then I'm going to kind of move on to intros, and John will kind of roll you in. And don't feel like you have to choose everything. We'll get some of that stuff picked as we go along, and I'll through working with them, I'll point you to some of the things you should be thinking about. Okay, so we'll take a quick 5.
think that's the way I'm gonna go.
Lowell, take a look over on my character sheet, if you would, for a sec,
Sure.
at what I've got up there for what the final form does. See if that hits notes well enough with you. If that's, it's a move, so I think it should be cool, but I don't want to overpower it. Tell me where you think it falls.
Oh, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll assume natural weapons do heavier harm, that kind of thing.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
And I gave him. I did do 2 damage tags worth for him, so he does some little bit extra damage.
Okay. And as soon as Sherry gets back, I will have people start to introduce themselves.
Back. Sorry.
Okay. That was my subtle way of saying it. Sherry, have you turned your camera back on?
Thank you for that suave subtlety of yours.
Suave. So, Tyler, we're going to start with you. And I'm going to have you introduce your character. One of the things is I want to mention, so we're in the city. The city is big, huge. It's a crossroads. It is a city that doesn't really have imperial ambitions, mostly because it's kind of chaotic. It is a crossroads to multiple places, including, gateway to the moon and all of those kinds of things that are on there. We've got a lot of non-human peoples, probably the majority non-human peoples in the sum total here. A lot of artificial peoples here and so on. So I will refer to it as the city. I will continue to say the city because we didn't name it. So it is merely the city for the purposes of this until we come up with a name that is really awesome. Tyler, tell us about your character.
Alrighty. I am playing Zelda. There we are. Okay. Zelda Duluck. She is a female. She's the familiar. She looks like a young 16 to 18-year-old, and by young I mean she looks young for that age.
Okay.
Kind of still got the wide-eyed innocence look to her. But she's actually considerably older than that by a couple of decades.
Oh.
I'll tell, and you'll hear why here in a moment.
Okay.
She's small. She's only about 5'2", weighs about 125 pounds. She has dark hair that's fairly long, these big blue eyes. But she has 2 pretty predominant or noticeable scars were you to locate them. One of them is on her chest, and the other is at the base of her skull. And both of them look like they were probably nasty enough wounds that they were potentially fatal. She works as a thief and a con artist. No one suspects such an attractive young lady to be anything nefarious, as she travels around with her cat, Rasputin. Rasputin, however, is not a normal kitty. When I was still young, 16, 17, I had begun to notice this cat that was following me around. I had grown up with a fairly decent family, but by the time I reached that age, both of my parents had passed away, and I had been left with a great deal of debt. And so was basically thrown from my house and living on the streets, when this cat would constantly show up, bringing me little treats, pigeons, rats, things to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And we became close. There seemed some bond. And then one day he spoke to me. And I had never had a cat that spoke to me before. He told me his name and said that he had seen me in the city, that he knew we were supposed to be together, and that he loved me, and I loved him. And so we set out to try and improve our station, and together we managed to be a pretty good thief con crew. But when I was 25, 26, my luck ran out, and someone shot me right in the chest with a crossbow bolt. Killed me right there. Rasputin came over and, in enormous panther form, devoured me. And then, once we were somewhere safe, I popped back out, looking that 16, 17 when we first met. Since then, I had another incident where someone bashed in the back of my skull, and a similar thing happened. That was fairly recently. And so I am once again back at my 16, 17-year-old age. I have a feeling I only have 7 lives left, having used 2. But so far, I've done fairly well. And that's me.
Do you imagine that the family that you came from lives here in the city, or did you travel to come here?
I think I'm from the city. I just don't think I have certainly no close relatives that would have taken me in. There may be some distant relatives, but no one was willing to take me in when we went broke and they died.
What do you think Rasputin is?
I think Zelda's thought about it. When she was young, she was just willing to accept that this wonderful being had come into her life. But as time has progressed, I think Zelda believes that Rasputin is some sort of spirit. When she's feeling really optimistic, she thinks her parents arranged to send him back.
Mm-hmm.
When she's not as optimistic, she's pretty sure that there will come a time when Rasputin will devour her and not spit her back out.
Think there's some kind of pact there?
I think so. I think that in that first meeting when we said we loved each other, he intended for that to be forever.
Did Rasputin teach you the magic that you know, or is that the kind of basic scrub magic you picked up on the streets?
I think it was something that I had an inkling. It came easy to me, but I think Rasputin has sort of pushed me in that direction. I think he would like for me to know more, to delve deeper, sort of things. But so far, we just haven't been that successful at it. I'm hoping that this time around, before the next death, I can manage to increase myself in my arcane knowledge.
Let's see. They can't remove your familiar unless you're at the mercy. Got the final form. Oh yeah, the hunger. I'll have to have a place for you to track that. Tell me, you've chosen for 2 of your gear picks because you have magic. You only had access to the standard things, but you chose modest comforts, meaning you don't. You always know where your next meal is coming from, and decent private lodging. What does that consist of?
What I'm imagining is that in a fairly nice neighborhood, brownstone, I found an older gentleman, probably in his 70s, in his daughterage up there, getting older, who has sort of, this paternal sort of feel of such a sweet little girl and sort of thing. And I've told him I'm a student, and he lets me rent out the attic there.
So you've got a grotto.
Right.
Okay. And is that the person who vouches for you?
It is indeed. He's even been known to say he was like a relative when I needed that sort of, connection to a town or that sort of thing. He's been willing to call himself my great uncle and that sort of stuff.
Does he have any inkling that you're a criminal?
I don't know. I would
Okay.
think Zelda does not think he does, but I'm willing to bet some of the things he's had to vouch for me. If he was on the ball, he would recognize. I mean, the police are coming around and asking where I'm from.
The guards, yeah. Okay.
Right.
What's his name?
Ooh, I should give him a good name. I think I call him Mr. Peterson. I think that's his name. I don't just call him that out of being capricious. But I never call him by his first name, but Mr. Peterson.
Mr. Peterson. And so you're a thief and a con artist. What's the worst thing that you've done?
I think the worst thing that I've probably done is it's a dog eat dog world out there.
Mm-hmm. No pun intended, having the cat.
I think that especially I feel very vulnerable when I return to this younger age, and I think children, to get my clothes, to feed myself, and sometimes for the sheer I want the things they have. I will con my way or steal my way to get their toys, to get their pretty shoes, their lovely things like that. Because I think there's a mental aspect to me returning to this age as well.
I was going to ask with that, because one of the things is you mentioned that you're a couple decades older. So how much of you reverts to that immature state, and how much are you have the feelings and emotions and experiences and passions of a woman 20 years older than you actually are?
I think it is. Yeah, I think hormonally, I think that in most ways I am back to that age. I remember the things that have happened, probably not the immediate thing that the moment I died or anything. I don't think I have any inkling of what happens after. But
you don't remember your time in the belly of the beast?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I do not know what happens there. But I think for the most part, I return back to being that young girl again, with just the memories.
You suggested something there that I want to clarify. You suggest that maybe it also kind of cleans away some of your memory of the pain of dying. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't have that sort of flinch that you might otherwise have there. So let's look at that beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you want to have as your belief for Zelda that you might want to encounter or deal with? Do you have any ideas there?
Is it too cheesy for me to go with it's better to be lucky than to be skilled?
I think that's certainly one we can play with, and we can modify these beliefs. Why don't you go with that, and we'll see how much you dig that, whether that works for you.
Okay.
Did you think about a particular trouble you want to be in at the start, or do you want to hold off on that?
Give me a second. Maybe by the time we get back around, I'll have one. I was looking through them, and there's so many awesome ones.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to come back. We're going to do everybody. We're going to come back to you, and we're going to look at those debt questions.
Okay.
And we'll ask about the sitch that has caused you trouble. Okay. But human.
Yeah, I say altered human up there simply because I've been dead a couple of times.
Okay. In that particularly horrific gift that you have as your character picture there, is there any significance to the demon that is angling over your shoulder?
I think that somewhere in there, that's the deal that brings me Rasputin. I think whatever that is that's lurking, that I know is at the end of that ninth life, that's sort of what hovers over my shoulder.
When you are separated from your familiar, what happens to you? What are the things from that lest we be parted pick, do you think?
Do I pick it and it's the one that happens every time, or do I pick one each? This is purely for mechanical wondering.
I think that it's the one that you pick and you always go back to. Is
okay.
The way that I've always played that one.
Alrighty then. I think I'm sickly.
Okay, that seems good. Okay, that is a classic one.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I will be back to ask you a few more questions later. So another character with a Z in his name. All right. Let's come to Garzula. Chris, tell us about your character.
Okay, I am playing Garzula Raccoon. He is a high orc. He's using the Heretic playbook. And he is, as a heretic, he is the last living member of his particular order. His order are the Nolda Karum, the scribes of the first names. As the last living member of the order, he is pursued by the persecutors, which in his case are called the Akarum Zil, the host of the unnamed or the formless ones. They are the entities that were not named in the beginning of creation and were refused names subsequently by the Nolda Karum, and thus they are pursuing the order for their vengeance for the order's refusal to give them names and forms.
Are they the source of the order's downfall, or was it other circumstances, or are you uncertain?
I think he's uncertain. He believes they were certainly involved, but it's tough to tell whether they were the chief cause of the downfall because they're spectral entities. They are the persecutors are have the ability to cause dread. They have the ability to walk through dreams, and if they appear, they are made of alien substance, some substance that itself is unnameable and unknowable, because they were never given names or forms. He has access to a sanctuary, which is the last protected place of the order.
Mm-hmm.
It contains a potent but damaged arcane device, which may be active or maybe not. He isn't sure. It also contains a way into an alien place filled with shifting structures and symbols of unguessed meaning, and a scry-proof glass to speak with his close friends.
Excellent. And you've got that true name thing where you kind of build up the little details about people to use against them, right?
Yep, he has the power of runes, which if he builds up sufficiently, he can use that magic to do various things to people or objects, I guess, depending on what he's trying to do. He also possesses the last great tome of secrets of the Nolda Karum, which can do all sorts of crazy things if he ever takes an advance to open it. I think he doesn't choose what it has in it until the point where he opens it. So it's got like a long list of things that could be in there.
Now you get one more move, because that special move is an automatic. It's your intimacy move.
Yep.
So
he gets gaze into the abyss, which was his extra move. The true name move is his free one.
You choose one more. You're right. I'm sorry. I misread that. You are absolutely correct.
So, but he choose gaze into the abyss, which lets him ask an extra analyze question whenever he goes into analyze.
And magic. Is this something that your order taught? Is it something you picked up later?
It's something that the order taught, and its drawbacks are particular to the order's magic. When he uses the magic, it leaves a distinctive mark. Basically, if inevitably, wherever in the space where he uses the magic, there will be a rune that will be left etched in that area somewhere. That someone, if they were looking, would possibly be able to notice, and if they understood what they were looking for, know that someone had used that type of magic. And it requires him to gesture. He will have to be able to use at least one hand to make the symbol of the rune for that particular spell in the air. So he would have to have the ability to move his hands and fingers around to do that.
Do you think did you come here to the city, or had the order existed in the city before? What is the nature of that?
I think the order existed in the city before, and the city contains that last refuge
Okay.
sanctuary, because he doesn't have the move that would let him like magically enter it whenever he wants to. Like he has to actually go there and enter.
Where is that entryway located? What kind of place?
I think it is I think the entryway is actually in a marketplace area.
Okay.
Like at one point in the city's history, that area was like a temple row or holy row, but since then the temples have moved to a different space, and of course no one remembers that sanctuary is there.
Your weapon? Got a big, 3-harm bulky weapon. What is that? Is that a big cudgel? What do you think that is?
It's a big scimitar.
Okay.
It's basically a hand and a half sword with a large curved blade, and that figures into his side gig. He makes his living as an occasional bodyguard because he's big and dangerous looking,
Mm-hmm.
because he's a high orc, so he's tall and muscular. But he's trained as a bookwright. It's just hard for him to get those types of jobs consistently.
Let's ask this. This is an interesting question. So we've got orcs that we spell with a K. We now established that fact about this world. High orc. Now, high elves amongst the various elves in classic fantasy are those who consider themselves superior to other ones and are particularly obnoxious about it. What does high orc mean in the context of the different orcish cultures and people?
The interpretation I've got, and I don't know how much had been established with the microscope building session before, but my idea was that the high orcs were the orcs that were assigned to do various tasks related to record keeping, priesthood duties, and other aspects that required like a relatively high level of education.
So
he actually knows how to read and write.
That the orcs have like a caste system.
Right.
We have the noble caste, and we have the scholar caste, and so on, that kind of thing.
Right, and the high orcs would have been the class assigned to the scholarly duties.
Scholar priests.
Right, and it's not necessarily that they were in charge of everything, but they were considered to be like valuable because of the training that they received, but not necessarily politically powerful. There's like a division in there where the political authority doesn't necessarily attach to the tasks that the high orcs were assigned to do.
And do you think this is like this is what works in one particular large group of orcs, or is this throughout the different orcish peoples?
I think this is one particular group.
Okay.
There are other groups that might have a similar system, and there are some groups that basically have broken away from that entire system and consider it to be just like decadent and ridiculous.
We've certainly seen in cultures that have caste systems, there can be different divisions and different, breakdowns of those. So that makes sense. Are there then, your order didn't make up all of the high orcs, right?
Right. They are, this particular order was one of them. And obviously they, most of the other high orcs consider the Nolda Karum to be extinct.
Okay, so we have other ones, other orcish scholar priests in the city. Okay. And you get modest comforts. It means you know where your next meal is coming from. What is that? Is that just that you have friends? Is it have a garden that you beg in the street? How does that work?
For him, he has a generally steady stream of income. If he were having to pay for lodging, that would be then he would be absolutely almost broke all the
Okay.
time. But because the sanctuary is also his place to live, according to the move,
Hmm.
then he actually doesn't have to worry about maintaining a roof over his head. The sanctuary is there, so he gets
Nice.
any bit of money he gets in through either bodyguard work or book write jobs, scribe jobs, any of that stuff. He goes just straight into his ability to maintain comfort level, as opposed to having to pay for the roof over his head.
Okay. Um, let me ask, have you looked at the beliefs? Do you have one of those that appeals to you that you can kind of formulate a belief for?
Yes, I picked I was taught blank, but now I know blank. And what I was thinking for the purposes of this is that he was originally taught to be a scholar slash priest slash monk, because that's the basis of his order. But he's had to learn, since the order was destroyed, how to make a living as basically in this city that is mostly non-orcs, dealing with taking any job he can get. And usually when people see orc, they still tend to think, that's a big, strong guy. I would need to hire somebody for big, strong guy stuff. So let me get that guy.
So you were taught that knowledge is power, but you've learned that a good sword is more important.
He was taught that that knowledge is, should be his chief pursuit, but now he knows that knowledge doesn't feed you.
Okay.
So,
knowledge is not enough. Okay. All right. So we'll consider how we're going to challenge that. I'm going to come back to you in a bit, and we'll talk about your trouble and your debt questions there. Sherry, tell us about your, oh my God, you're a monster. Doppelganger.
Oh yeah, sure, whatever. So my character is Samlin Dart, version 2. She is a doppelganger, except that most people don't know she's a doppelganger. Most of the time, she looks like Samlin Dart, who she inadvertently sent off the mortal coil. But Samlin Dart was the foremost adventuring wizard. She was exceptionally good at jump, resist poison, and spider climb. Samlin Dart version 2 gets away with just pretending like Samlin just doesn't feel like showing that sort of stuff off. She's got other ways to do those things.
Okay.
She does, however, have a reputation as a procurer of magic items, and she remains relatively good at that. She always returns to the form of Samlin Dart, and in fact, it's kind of a little bit problematic and also sort of super interesting to Samlin Dart version 2. Samlin Dart had clearly had some backfires with her magic that had put how do you say this, a sort of dart of sentimentality through her soul and form. And when Samlin version 2 took Samlin Dart's form from her in that moment of death, she got that dart, that sort of supernatural, magical dart that sort of pins her to this reality as Samlin Dart. And one of the things is that it's a completely different life for her, because it's Samlin Dart's life is in there, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And it is that she has that sense of Samlin's childhood, of the people that she holds dear, of the virtues and things that are important to her. And that's something that she's never had before. She was very hand to mouth previous, and she doesn't even kind of remember her previous life.
And so what made her come here? Is it just because this was Samlin's place, or?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because she knew that she had to come back, or like her landlady would worry. She literally came back because that was a concern, and she didn't understand it, but mm-hmm. Now that she's here, she understands it. So more, kind of. in a way.
A really lovely human feeling. So how do you feed on people?
So I drain their magic.
Ah,
Yes. So I that was what attracted me originally to Samlin Dart, and it continues to be a minor difficulty for those who encounter her. Most of the time, she doesn't actually kill them. I mean, they're just a little tired afterwards.
okay.
So,
And you have the reflection move, which allows you to mirror someone, kind of
mhm.
change and gain their appearance. Um, uh, uh, and what is the what does the eerie way look like? The other move that you took.
So it is one of the things that helps her maintain, particularly when she's in the guise of Samlin, that she still has magics. Literally, when she's shot or punched at, she moves in a really unnatural way.
Okay.
A way that someone should, and people understand it as magic, like that she has some sort of shielding spell that's protecting her. Um, and even if it does kind of just put a hole right through her chest, it's magic, so anything can happen.
And what did you take for your picks for your gear stuff? Because you
Okay.
got access to the advanced stuff.
Yeah, Amy Samuel Dart has been doing pretty well for herself. So I had good lodgings and comforts to go back to. Essentially, with my landlady, the third and honored daughter, who's an energetic but secretive gravedigger. She also has an extra room that's quite nice that she lets. So I have that, and she's a good cook. I have access to the vault that's on those premises.
Okay.
I have very good armor +2 that Samlin had, and I use that. And I also have a major magic item. It's a fine iron link chain. So it's like about this. I mean, it's not a big chain. It's one that you could like wear like a necklace or wrap around your arm, like for a bracelet or something. And essentially anything that it encircles, it's like a magical stasis around it. It won't
Okay.
magical effects won't act outside of that chain. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense to me.
She also has a pair of extra boots. She likes those very much because she has found that she does not like to have wet feet.
Ah.
Um,
So you took some of your picks from the regular list then.
yeah. Well, you said I could have some of those.
You get 4 picks
Oh,
from the advanced list.
okay.
And you can trade in one of those advanced list picks to get 2 picks from this.
Yeah, I'll get rid of my regular picks. Don't you worry. I just thought, oh, okay.
All right. What's your belief?
My belief is, and I actually got it from Samlin. It is that the only thing that's worth having is your reputation. Talent gets you nowhere.
Okay.
She was bitter, but I don't understand that she was bitter. So
Excellent. I'll come back to you, talk to you about your trouble and
Okay.
your pets. Okay.
Mhm.
John, are you in a good place where I can ask you about your character?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. So you are the cursed.
Yes.
So please tell us about your character. I want to know how this came to be.
Okay, so my character is Feistus Grimm. He is an older man that he was part of the, what was it called? The college that you had on your thing. The Memorious College.
Memorious College, yeah.
He was part of the Memorious College, but when he found he was looking for some information, and he found access to something that he thought was going to be very valuable, but instead ended up cursing him with the spirit of Kifun X, a dead god of knowledge. So he with that, he gained the ability to understand magic and know more things, but he has to actually consume knowledge, so he has to literally like eat books. Um,
Nice.
and then because of that, what's happened to him, he's fallen from his station, and now he spends his time basically just as a roaming educator, like, give me a coin and I will tell you the history of the stars, and that type of thing.
Awesome. And what is the gift that your curse gives you?
I took the move that gives me an extra gift,
Okay.
so I can channel magic naturally. So, and I cannot succumb to death until the curse has its way with me.
Which is delicious. By the way, that's a great one. And we get the curse at the +1 there. What's the sign of the curse that has fallen on you?
That's the consuming books. He has that special diet.
Okay. So yeah, you have to eat books. Is that the only thing you can eat, or what?
It's not the only thing he can eat, but he has to, like, every day consume something.
And his magic, he doesn't have any drawbacks. Did he know those before he got cursed, or did that come afterwards?
It came afterwards.
Okay. And what does he look like?
An older man, human, but Garazulus is middle-aged. He's older, probably like 60-ish. White, scraggly beard. He still has his robes from the college, but they've kind of fallen into disrepair.
Okay.
And he looks kind of a mess.
Okay. And let me look at here real quick. Pull that sheet up there. And you have the trigger move, and then the other two moves you picked were
read the signs. So when I witness major magic, I can ask a question from analyze.
Okay.
And the grace gives me the additional benefit.
Okay. Awesome. And what? Let me take a look at here on something. I'm looking at your sheets because I'll check, make sure I'm getting all questioned. So, if you've had a chance to look at the belief statements, did you find one that appealed to you?
Yeah, I picked I wanted to become let's see. I wanted to become famous, but I've ended up destitute but powerful.
So one of the things I'm going to have you think about, that's a good starting point.
Okay.
And what you'll want to do through play is kind of look at how you want to tune that, because one of the ways you get XP is when that statement is challenged, when that belief is challenged through play.
Okay.
So you want to be considering that. Does Cafoon X, is Cafoon X in you? Do you see Cafoon X? Is Cafoon X gone? Is it just a curse?
Cafoon X is in me.
Okay. Did that get you bumped out of the order?
Yes.
Okay. They were like, hey, you have a god in you. You need to get out of here. All right. Okay. That gives me a human, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what do you think you're going to take for your gear stuff there? 4 picks from the standard gear list. You start with clothing, a basic weapon, and a hand-to-mouth existence, and you're going to get 4 picks off that list.
Okay.
I'm going to let you think about that because I'll come back to you on it.
All right.
Since I've just thrown that in your lap. Tyler, I'm swinging back to you. Look at this.
All righty.
Tyler, what trouble do you think that you're in the middle of right now?
My last job went south in a horrific way. Now your former employer, Cest Stormaker of the Gilded Basin, is looking to collect with finality.
What was that job?
I'm betting it's the one that got my skull cracked in. And
Like when he thought you were dead, he was okay with it, but now that you're alive,
right, I think he's gotten word that maybe I'm not as dead as he had originally hoped. And with the Gilded Basin, I think probably I was set to probably steal something from like a mage or priest, that probably some prophetic device, something that would allow him to see the future.
So the Gilded Basin are the auctioneers. So
Okay.
to sell off that way,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
or maybe they wanted to see who was going to do the bidding.
Ooh, yeah. I like that.
So with that, pick one of these NPCs that's connected with, and tell me how they're tied into this situation.
Alrighty. I picked Capadian Sound, a wild, precise urchin. And I think that that Capadian probably was the one who informed him that I was back, and has been trying to keep an eye out for me, looking for me for him.
Kind of looks like a crazy person, but much more controlled than they might otherwise look. A little bit like the Baker Street Irregulars. They look like wild urchins, but they've got their eyes open. Okay, that works for me. You get 2 deck questions from your playbook.
I do.
One that is someone owes you, and one that you owe them. Which one would you like to start with?
I owe them. Blight helped me get back my familiar when we were separated.
So, which of the PCs, as you have heard them now, helped you get back your familiar when you were separated?
I was thinking maybe Garzula.
Okay.
What do you think of that, Chris? Do you think you would help me do that?
I think you would.
Do you think it was before I had my last time dying? Like you knew me as the older, in her 20s Zelda, and now you know that it's still me, but I've clearly lost about 10 years.
Yeah, I think it probably took that effect, because he that would have it would have been kind of that would have been. Oh, I'm trying to think whether that would work well or not. Let's see. It seems like it would be more. It would make more sense for him to meet you as your older self, and then after that, like, realize that, oh, this 15-year-old is actually Zelda.
Okay.
Yeah.
What Garzula, what do you think of Rasputin? Are you curious? Are you terrified? Are you bewildered?
I think he's right now. He's curious. He doesn't. He has not perceived that Rasputin is harming Zelda at all. In fact, Rasputin seems to be helpful, but he's also suspicious of. He's also a little suspicious of the fact that this entity has attached itself to Zelda. He doesn't see any upside for the entity in this.
Absolutely. Excellent. So why don't you both mark those debts? I'm going to make a suggestion as to how you mark debts that you owe. I suggest that you put those in red, and you put debts that are owed to you in black. Sort of a ledger thing. So both of you should mark that particular debt at a value of 1. And then Zelda, who do you think owes you?
Let's see. Blank has tried to manipulate my familiar for their own ends. And I was thinking, I think that both Feistus and Samlin could potentially fit that. Do either of you feel like grabbing a hold of it? If not, I'll pick somebody. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I would go to it because I probably see your familiar is like a great stitcher between this world and the other. I've probably tried to get, Rasputin to bind some things here that I didn't want to have to let go of.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with your version of Rasputin. Very clearly an alien sense of what's going on there.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Excellent.
All right. So Samlin, you'll mark in red a debt to Zelda and Vika Verka. Let us go then to our heretic, Garzula. Let's look at your debt questions.
Okay, let's see. I had picked for my owing to someone. I chose blank saved me from the persecutors and hasn't asked for anything yet. I owe them. Let's see. Let's see. I could see that. Being a pretty interesting setup for Zelda. But I could also see Festus being involved in that as well.
Interesting.
Because of the way the persecutors are, like I could see that being something that Festus could have done as well.
Makes sense because they're about naming and knowledge and so on, and he has a god of knowledge. What do you think, Festus?
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay. So then, is it Feistus or Festus?
Feistus.
Feistus. You will mark that in black a debt from Garzula. And Garzula will mark it in red. And then, what's your other one, Garzula?
My other one is I brought blank information about someone they care about who remains within the thrall of the persecutors. They owe me.
Who do you think that would be appropriate for?
Let's see. It could be anybody. Everybody's got a little bit of personal connections floating around out there. I don't have anything with Samlin yet.
And it would make sense.
Sure.
Who is it that Samlin, air quotes, cares about that's in the thrall of the persecutors? Is it someone related to the original Samlin? Is someone Samlin just cared about? A partner? What do you think?
Oh, if you're asking me?
Yeah.
I think I have a real hard time telling the difference between my landlady. Let's see her. What was her name again? It was an awesome name. Oh, the third and honored daughter and the second and beloved daughter. And so it was probably that person.
Okay.
It's her elder sister.
So the person that I got the information on was the second honorable daughter, or second honored daughter.
Second beloved daughter.
Second Was it honored or beloved?
Beloved.
Beloved. Okay. Second beloved.
And so, Samlin, you'll mark
Another debt.
another debt. Make sure you write those in.
I'm trying to find a place to write them in at.
They are right below.
There we go. Okay. Got it.
While Samlin was recording those, Garzula, and I can see a typo I've got there. I'm gonna correct something here on my original thing. Runes. What trouble are you in the middle of?
The sitch I picked is that Orchara of Rabble, a pissant fallen god, has somehow identified you as crucial to their reascension. They've accumulated a small but fanatical cult. I chose that because one of the possible options from the Tome of Secrets is a manual of ascension to godhood.
Ah.
So that's one of the choices that could be in there if I ever open the tome. So,
and that is awesome. And who is the NPC that is wrapped up in that, either working for Orchara or someone you know?
I think it's Vidya Din, the freckled and impudent pilot.
And what is Din's role in that?
I think that Din had a passing connection to the cult at one point. Like they had hired them to fly. I can't remember what vehicles are in this city. Like I get the impression we've got all sorts of crazy stuff.
It is.
So we do have sky ships.
Vertical. So there's a lot of high stuff and air traffic. There's a whole sort of group of elitist enforcers of justice who fly.
Okay, I think Vidya basically was involved in helping that cult pursue me at some point.
Okay.
I don't think they're a member of the cult. They were just hired, and so they've got some peripheral involvement. Of course, the cult may consider them to be a lot more central than they think they are.
I like it. Excellent. Let's come to what remains of Samlin Dart.
Okay. Yes. So debt number 1 is, let's see here. This is someone that I owe a debt to. Blank saw me lose control of my form, but didn't flinch. So I think, let's see here. It's like I owe to everyone. So I'll just add another one on there. Let's see here. I don't know anything to Feistus. So Feistus, does that seem like you see me do a shapeshift and go, whatever? Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Oh, changeling. That should have been obvious.
I forgot that one.
Sounds perfect. And then one is I impersonated someone important to help X out of a jam.
And you can have both owe to and be owed by. So
let's see here. Trying to think. Probably. Does anyone else have? I got to go and see what other people have. So. How about Zelda?
Perfect. I love it.
Okay. So, sure. That seems good. And I'll do a Zelda positive.
okay.
Then a Feistus negative.
And what's the trouble that you're in the middle of?
Oh my goodness. what is it? All I wanted is a nap in the afternoon, and it is always a hullabaloo here, a hullabaloo. The upright sorcerer's office has been agitating in my area. Somehow I've ended up on the list of targets for their local agent, Pettifog Just. Now, it's a super common name. I can't tell them one from the other.
Absolutely.
But my landlady is, in fact, involved in all of this because, one, she looks out for me, tries to get Pettifog to leave. But the other thing is Pettifog was a former suitor of her eldest sister.
And what's the name of the eldest sister? The first
And most magnificent daughter.
First and most. Did she like marry a dentist or something?
Yes, of course.
Excellent.
And Third's parents have very good teeth.
Yes. Then that brings us to Phaistus. Phaistus, let's look at your debts.
Okay. I'm thinking that they owe me. Thinking Zelda had the chance to get info or an edge on the one who cursed you, but passed on it to line their own pockets.
That sounds Zelda speed, right? Zelda?
Yeah, I could see doing that. Yeah.
Okay. So
I owe a debt there?
Yes.
All right.
And I owe the curse hit me at the wrong moment and someone close to blank suffered from it. Gara? You think there's, or Garzula? Do you think there's somebody that is close to you that I might have hurt?
I think we can work that out.
The second to the last of your order.
Or someone who is interested in, maybe I should join up.
I think it's probably just basically a friend. Let me because the whole thing about the order is there's literally nobody else in there.
Sure.
So let me pick off that wonderful list of awesome NPC names.
Okay.
Let's see. How about Boulder Verma, the thin, promiscuous huntsman?
Okay. That works for me. And so, Phaistus, what trouble are you in the middle of?
The trouble was on the gear. No, this one.
Beliefs, trouble, and XP tab.
Yeah. I like someone keeps posting jobs with my name on the mirror board. It started funny, but it's become increasingly problematic as hungry and desperate adventurers track me down.
Nice. And who's the NPC associated with that? Maybe somebody who informed you, or someone you think might be connected with it.
Oh, it's that bastard Song Cullen, the local aspiring moneylender.
Okay. You're pretty sure he's involved?
Somehow, of course.
Okay. All right, we're going to take 5, and then we're going to come back, and I think it may hard frame you together just for like a group scene. Though this is a game where people can be going off in different directions. So we'll just do a group scene for at least for today. And then next time we'll see where everybody is at and what biz they are up into. So take 5 and then we'll come back.
is that song that stuck in your head? You say it was Taylor Swift. Is it the one that she does with the guy from Panic at the Disco?
That is the new one. Yes.
I like it. I'm planning on using it in a game coming up soon.
I didn't like it, and at the start, and then there's a midpoint where there's that sort of call out little chorus bit that is like super annoying. And then by the end of the song, I was like, oh wow, okay, it's in my head. So
I have this kind of villainous queen of the vampires, and one of my PCs is this over-the-top schmoozer. And so I anticipate setting up a scene where the queen and he have this as their musical, that video.
I like that. I like that very much.
But yeah, it's a horribly just poppy dull soulless dance music-y thing, but it's cute.
It's interesting. It actually got me to go and listen to Panic at the Disco, who I hadn't listened to.
Oh, I like Panic at the Disco. His range is phenomenal.
Yeah, I listened to that one that's sort of a very early Sgt. Peppery album that I was really struck by, and then I listened to the one that has High Hopes on it, and I was like, wow, that is a radical, really interesting shift there.
And his falsetto, his high notes are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's handsome too.
He is a good looking man.
He looks a little like Jimmy Carr, I think, the comedian.
Oh yeah, you're right. And the music video has kittens in it, so
it does.
That wins for me.
You have put in a hell of a lot of work here, Lowell. This is really nifty.
I love fantasy, so that is my go-to genre in many ways.
This is super cool. Just so I can, again, trying to remember the one little I played one session about.
Sure.
Is for gold.
Uh-huh.
Should we be thinking of it kind of conceptually like in Blades, where we're not as much spending it day to day to buy our drinks and stuff? It's more of a resource when we're wanting to grab a hold of things for a temporary time or something?
We assume that if you've taken the stuff that gives you, day to day, you're not really worried about that. If you need to buy better gear, you need a better piece of clothing, you need healing, all of those things are a gold. There's a little example list off to the side too.
Yeah. So is like lifestyle, is that something you maintain every so often, or?
Yeah, essentially your lifestyle is going to stay wherever it is. If it's not a great lifestyle, then I'm going to hit you with moves on it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an okay lifestyle, then probably at some point I will, as a hard move, I might say, well, probably need to pay for your upkeep here.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I didn't want to worry about eating. That was definitely worth a buy to be able to not go, oh crap, I've got to eat what the cat drags in.
Yeah. There are a couple of things I know that I can always get Sherry with, and one is if there's the option of getting a good place to live, she will take that. And if there's a magic item that cleans you up, or quickly changes your clothes in a standard way, she will go with that. Even if there's like a +5 magic item, at the table, she wants the thing that will instantly clean her clothing.
I fully agree with you, Sherry.
It's so powerful. I like to consider it like the ultimate evidence disposal situation.
And it would be the best real life magic too.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So all four of you know each other, circle of acquaintance, that kind of thing. And all of you have various creditors and people that you deal with. In particular, all of you are owed a little bit of back money from a figure known as Tanith, the Coccinius Ghoul. Coccinius being the fanciest possible word for dark red. And he is, in fact, a nearly sort of deep crimson red, claims to be a ghoul. You're uncertain about this. And through various means, you have all established that Tanith will be paying off at least a portion of the debts that are owed to each of you, probably not amounting to much more than a gold. And you have all, in various ways, made arrangements to meet with him at a particular tavern. He likes those taverns that have the kind of the walk down, like they're sort of the basement level of a place. And it is a during the sort of the getting on dusk time. So let me ask you this. This is something we haven't really established here, Zelda. What's the weather right now? Is the weather, weather temperate in the city? Is it varied in the city? Are there magical weather systems in the city? What do you think is going on, at least right now, in the neighborhood that you're in?
Gotcha. Is there anything established, like what sort of?
No.
Not a thing.
There's a lightning dragon that's around the big central tower in the city, but I think that's the only weather-related detail that we have.
For geography, are we like in temperate or?
Don't know.
Oh no. Okay, cool. All right then. Then I think it's winter.
Okay.
It's cold. We're getting that little bit of snow. But I have a feeling that we don't get a ton of it. We have like 1 month where we're going to get some snow.
Okay.
And we're in that one. And so, since it sounds like we have a pretty high magical city and we've got all these things flying above, occasionally because things are flying above, the snow can be a little yellowish. And also there's the sort of the magical ambiance of it that we'll get different colored snows and get kind of phosphorescent snows on occasion and stuff as well.
And the other thing that probably happens is if there is, a large snowfall, you've got these various guardian spirits that protect different neighborhoods. So what they will do is they will push the snowfall onto neighboring districts with less powerful spirits. So you probably have this hierarchy of neighborhoods and snowfall there that goes on. The wealthiest neighborhoods with the most powerful neighborhood spirits, their streets are clear. But you go a few blocks over and people are still shoveling out this yellowed snow, depending on where they're at. So Garzula, what's the theme of this tavern that Tanith has asked you to meet him at?
Oh, since he really is fascinated by fancy ways to say red, I think the tavern is called the Scarlet Snake Pit.
Okay. And it is red. And the walls are carpeted. That kind of low-cut red carpeting that has been nailed to the wall. Somebody thought it was a good idea. It does keep out some of the noise, but these things also get splattered with drinks and stuff, and they do carry odors like no other place. And of course, as the Scarlet Snake Pit, they probably have a variety of red drinks. Probably red lighting. They've got snake bite juice and that kind of thing in here. It's a desperate attempt to stand out here. And it is kind of a walk down. They kind of almost feel like you are walking into a snake pit. Dimly lit, lots of shadows. The mysterious figure in the corner with the hood up is probably laid out and drooling on his table, rather than beckoning for adventures to come to him. Samlin, what's the crowd like at this time of the day?
It's full on neighborhood. It's like everyone's got done with their dinner. They don't really have anything else to do. It's pretty much all the workaday, folks have come here. Because over time, they've, how do you say, the locals get a little bit of a discount. So they've kind of arranged it that way. They make the place seem full and loud and cheerful and all those things. But yeah, it's pretty much just all the neighborhood people.
So do you think you four are the most unusual set of folks around in here?
Yes, definitely right now.
Okay. So you've come in, you're clearly, you're not adventurers. People don't regard you as adventurers, and they don't spit at you. You're clearly city dwellers, but you're the kind of people that are, they can tell you don't work for a living in the way that they do. So they do kind of give you wide berth. Are any of you besides Garzula, who has that grand scimitar, and I'm going to say it that way most of the time, so I'm going to apologize right now. Are any of you obviously armed? What about you, Zelda?
Not really. I have a meat cleaver in my handbag, but not anything, and my hidden dirk. But no.
Okay. And what about you, Samlin?
No, I have a regular weapon. Nothing special.
What is your regular weapon?
It's a short sword.
Okay.
So
kind of got
kind
that.
of
That
dull.
is.
It looks more like she probably hits things with it than ever stabs anyone with it.
So it does look like common sort of standard, walkabout protection gear.
But she does have armor. It's kind of,
Okay.
It's a +2 armor. It's a little bulky. It's not, it's noticeable. It's big about her cleavage. The cleavage is a very important asset, clearly.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And what about you, Feistus?
Just a quarterstaff that I walk about with.
Okay. Feistus, what is the thing about this, besides all the other things I've already described, about this tavern that you dislike the most?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
What is, besides all the things I've already described, what is the thing that you, Feistus, dislike most about this tavern?
It doesn't have a good entertainment. There's no performers. I used to be much more experienced with very nice, fancy gatherings and everything, and this is just it's a nice place, but it's not much.
And the four of you have come and you kind of settled into a table at the back, and every time the door has opened, of course, it's brought in a blast of cold air, and you see you're kind of at the back of the tavern, kind of looking at the doorway. You see the door open, and you see these three clearly neighborhood. Yeah, everyone screams, "Close the door!" Three clearly neighborhood people. They start to walk in, and you will see them stop and kind of freeze, and the door stays open, and people are kind of shouting at them, and you'll see a couple people that are nearest the door kind of suddenly stand up and start walking out very oddly. What do you do, Zelda?
That's odd. I'm going to I suppose I'm going to this. I'm probably sensing some sort of strange influence to that. So I'll kind of, because I'm probably the most discreet of us, I'm going to kind of slip down off my chair and kind of move around the edge there to see if I could see like something's outside the door, but try and get a view.
So you can move through the thing, and you will see the people who are nearest that group of sort of five. The three who came in and the two that are closest have kind of turned around and have headed back up in this weird, like not quite in control of themselves way. And the door will kind of then slam shut.
So I think I'm going to follow after. I mean, this is very strange.
Heading that way and looking, Garzula, you see the petite sneak thief with a cat. Zelda hops off her stool, kind of moves over, and then you see her begin moving towards the door. Like, okay, what's going on here? Maybe she learned something. Maybe she didn't. What would you do?
I think he would basically throw back the last of his mug because he's paid for that, and then he would follow after.
Okay, go. Kind of. Are you going a little more cautiously, or are you muscling your way through? How does Garzula approach these kinds of things?
I think he's basically just moving through. He's not necessarily like batting people aside, but he's like doing that large, forceful person moving through normal sized people sort of move. Like most people just sort of naturally pull aside, but the ones who don't, he just like pushes past them.
Absolutely. Zelda went that way. I said the names. I'm going to get these names wrong for first time. Samlin, staying here, following, doing something different.
Well, I'm watching. I want to see if whatever it is out there grabs a hold of any of these other folks. I'm keeping back. I'm like, because these people are like they're really weak in some ways, and other ways they're like they got a lot of reserves. I just don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. And Feistus?
Yeah, I'm gonna after seeing a couple other people stand up, I'm gonna Garzula, what's going on?
Something strange is going on, and Zelda is moving to investigate, and I'm not comfortable with letting her do that alone.
I will come too. To find out what this is.
Zelda, you can hit that door, kind of grab onto the handle, pull it open, kind of step out. What's your mood? Are you afraid? Are you nervous? How do you feel right now?
I mean, I'm curious. So let's see. That would be what's on our wheel for curious.
Yeah, curious.
I think it's joyful.
Joyful includes creative, aware, daring.
Yeah. I think that's it.
So why don't you make a risk roll for me with your joyful?
Alrighty. Let's see. Not great. I'm not generally a joyful person.
Okay.
But that's a 0. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. Rolling 2, and it's purple because it's me, and I'm gonna submit. And
So
I got a 7.
It's a 7. So first off, put a little check by your joy.
Okay.
And you go to kind of step outside, and you sort of blink, and you realize you've actually walked up the stairs, like the steps up, and it kind of took a hold of you, and it's that you're familiar, like you hear the yowl of the familiar that kind of wakes you up out of it, and you realize that you're hearing this music that has like drawn you out into the street, and you will see the people who were in front of you are kind of assembling out there in the street in the snow.
Rasputin, what in the world? And so as I notice that, I'm going to be looking back and going back down to tell my friends if I don't see anybody behind me.
Garzula, you're the next one kind of following up. You see Zelda opens the door, and then she up the steps like weirdly fast. Would you follow?
Yes.
Then I need you to. What's your mood? Let's establish that.
Well, I think initially he was a little frustrated because this was, this was getting into their, this was interfering with their ability to collect on that debt. But now he's gone from like sort of a frustrated to more of a concerned. So,
okay. I think that's fear.
Probably closest to fear, I think.
Then let's have you roll fear.
Okay, that'll be a +0. So. That is a 7.
That is a 7. Then as you turn around, Zelda, to kind of like, I'll go down, Garzula kind of bumps into you. And when I say bump, I mean knocks you back. And that kind of brings him to awareness. And Garzula, you will kind of look around and see, well, you can see sort of from sort of the gap at this landing is these people kind of milling and starting to kind of get like weirdly organized, and you hear this music.
Sully, something is definitely enchanting them.
Where's that music coming from? Can you tell?
I couldn't when I was up there, and I'm a little concerned to go back up there again. It kind of grabbed hold of me. It looked like it grabbed hold of you too.
You two kind of pushing back down then?
Yeah, I'm trying to push him back. I cannot effectively do it without his permission.
Right.
I
Do you think he would let Zelda do that?
Yeah, I think he's taking like a step back. He's not like running back down the steps, but he's like stepping back down, and maybe like raising a hand as Feistus is coming up the stairway.
So, Zelda, if he's not moving very far and he's kind of gesturing, are you going past him to go down?
Yeah, I think I'll definitely go down to the bottom of the stair. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say then that we can see certainly Garzula is kind of up a little bit further. Feistus, as you and Samlin kind of reach the door, Zelda's coming back with a look of no on her face.
Yeah, I mean, do we hear about the music?
There's a lot of noise here, but you are hearing like some sounds up there, and because Zelda is here kind of talking at you,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem to be landing, but yeah, you can hear there's music up there.
I look around for something to plug my ears with.
What would you find in this horrible dirty bar that you could plug your ears with?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, well, I am a shapeshifter for all practical purposes, so I'd probably just take a couple of corks and stick them in my ear and then grow my ears around them.
Like you reach over where people have popped the corks and the bottles and kind of thrown them on the dirty floor.
Yeah.
You pick those up and you jam those in your ears.
Right. I got no sense of these things.
Absolutely. Physis?
I want to like grab one of the people that like, because Samlin said that, or Zelda said that they were enchanted by something. So I want to grab one of the people and kind of like wave
so
the
you want to
hand
go up the stairs and go out into the street where those people are?
Yes. Why not?
Okay. So in that case, let's have you roll. What is your mood as you roll to resist this enchantment?
I'm thinking probably fear.
Okay. So go ahead and put a mark by fear and roll with that.
Okay. And 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. So there is that bit where you kind of it's probably only that Garzula kind of grabs you before you get too far, out of the stairs, and stops you. Garzula, you and Physis are kind of more up at the top here. It's hard to see with the snow, but you'll see that group that kind of came pouring out of the tavern. There's some other people that are joining them, and they're kind of lining up like across the street. And from back behind, you hear some music, and maybe in the snow, you can see some other shapes like other people coming.
I think he turns back to everyone and says, something's happening out there, and it's almost certainly not good. We need to find another way out of here.
I can't hear them, but I got the corks in my ears. I'm like,
yeah, so they're like sticking out, so you can see that Samlin has those in her ears and probably does one of these numbers. Zelda?
Yeah, I will have run over to I'm having to remember names too. To Samlin, and have tried to convey what's going on.
What is the universal hand gesture for people being mind controlled by music out in the streets? Okay, there we go. That works. 3 different ones, but it's pretty universal. We'll give you that.
And then we'll probably have to look back, and the other 2 didn't come back down, did they?
No, they're well, Garzula has kind of started to step back down, but the others are up there.
And I give that sort of probably a look that you've seen before there, Samlin, of, is this worth our time? Should we just let bad shit happen to people and maybe save our own hides?
Garzula comes down and says, we need to find another way out of here.
All right. And I'll start looking for a back way out.
Sure. What is your mood? I'm going to have you roll analyze it, and I'm going to cut back up to Physis.
Okay, I think I'm probably concerned now. I don't like enchantment. This seems big.
Oh yeah, and fear is your good stat.
Yeah, covering my hide is something I like to do.
Yeah.
So I'll roll. Ooh, that gives me an 11.
Gives you 11. So go ahead and put a check mark by fear.
Okay.
and you get 3 questions off of the analyze list.
Alrighty. Where's my best way out of here?
So it is a basement bar, but you know that back in the water closet / urinal / hole in the floor, that they have cut a sort of a window vent in there. That's probably your best way out of here right now, is getting that prized open and getting out through there. Since that side opens away from the street where this nonsense is going on.
Okay. What is my enemy's true position?
You realize, just as you're kind of hearing the strains, as Garzula has the door open, that you're hearing what sounds like string music, like a violin or a fiddle, but you're also hearing percussion from another direction.
Huh.
And what's your third question?
My third question is which enemy is the biggest threat, now that I hear there's 2 things going on?
The one that's immediately outside, because they are clearly gathering people right here, right now. And that's probably the biggest threat right now.
Okay.
That seemed like a fair answer.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Okay, and you're going to get +1 forward acting on those answers. Okay.
All right, and I will point towards that window to my friends and kind of give
Point to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Feistus, Garzula is headed back down to warn the others. You're up here. What do you want to do with your god of knowledge in you?
Yeah, I think I kind of want to continue to do the same thing. I'm gonna try with my simple illusion magic. Can I make just a white noise sound?
Yeah, that seems like a thing that you could probably do pretty easily. And I think that we don't even have a casting roll. You can probably white noise the 2 people closest to you and yourself, to kind of break them out of the spell. Is that what you'd like to do?
Yeah, I just kind of want to break them out and try to shake somebody and say,
And you'll do that. You'll hit the guy who got up from inside the tavern and started to walk out, and he's like, what? He'll fall back, and he's like, what? And of course, imagine that this is also, you're hearing this massive white noise on this. So it's, what is going on? Like that. Like he's completely confused.
You just I don't know, grab people and go.
And he grabs the next person, his buddy, and they take off. But you will see now there are about 12.5 people that have kind of formed up into 3 lines. And you see them start to do this kind of thing in synchronized movement, and they are moving forward. But you realize it's not just they're not just doing that. Like, if they have a knife or any kind of self-protection gear or anything like that on them, like your usual walking cudgel and stuff, they've got those pulled off, and they've got them in their hands. And they are kind of moving like jets moving forward down the street with weapons out.
Towards me or away? Or
Towards something else down the road. They are clearly not set on you.
Okay.
You don't think whoever's doing this has possibly noticed you yet, which might be to your advantage. but we'll come back to that. Samlin, Zelda runs for the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm not going there. That place is foul.
Okay. So what would you do?
I have ear protection, so
Okay.
I kind of am going to go and take a look. I'm going to be careful,
Okay.
a little stealthy. I'm cautious. I'm a cautious person. I'm
Okay.
a cautious, mostly person.
Absolutely. Do you think that you would like to get out there and analyze the situation?
I think that is it. I can't hear,
Okay.
so all of their acquired knowledge is useless to me. I will have to figure it out for myself, but I will do this thing.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll that, and then we'll come back and check with Garzula and Zelda.
Sure.
What do you think your mood is?
Cautious. I'm a little bit jazzed because I thought of the whole quirk thing, and I think that's
So
pretty
fear
good.
or power?
Probably fear.
Okay, so put a check mark by fear.
Okay, this is as soon as I will do that. So that is, I think we're gonna roll, add 2. Oh my God, I got a 4.
You got a 4.
You guys, how can you do that? You know what? I get an XP.
Yes, the good news is you get to mark XP.
Yes.
The bad news is you actually kind of come out and there's some people running past, and when you hit that sidewalk, you hit ice. Because this is a crappy neighborhood, and they have let...
I don't even know what ice is, so it's all... I think I'm going to 10.
Out from under your feet, and you slide, kind of spin into the middle, and you will kind of look up from where you're laying on the street, and you can't hear anything, but you will certainly feel a little bit of the vibration, and you'll see this group of synchronized attackers coming one way, and another group of synchronized attackers coming the other way, like they are going to rumble here.
Oh, yes.
And you are right in the freaking middle.
Awesome. All right.
Garzula. Zelda's running for the bathroom. She's clearly indicated that is the escape route of choice that you asked for.
And our other 2 friends just left out the front door.
Well, they're out. They're still Fraser stayed, and Samlin, cork-eared Samlin, went up to follow.
And I think he just shakes his head and just raises his hands and just he is going to look around, and he's going to take his knife and trim off 2 pieces of a nearby tablecloth.
Okay. Hey!
Shove them in his ears and head for the bathroom.
Okay. Zelda, do you wish to exit?
I do. Yes.
What is the most challenging part of getting out of this window in this horrible Crimson Snake Pit tavern?
It's having to push the bucket and put that on top of the chair and then put the box on top of the bucket so I can reach to the window because it's way above my head.
The thing that's probably most bothersome is when you're kind of reaching up and touching the sill is that it's a little bit clammy and kind of sticky. But you'll be able to move it because people do open this window from time to time out of sheer self-preservation.
I cannot blame them.
And Rasputin is probably up and out the window before you.
Oh, yeah.
And you're tiny. You can clearly get up and get out sort of into the back alley behind the tavern. And Garzula is coming here sort of up behind to also make his way out. Feistus, Samlin comes flying past you, and it hits and it spins out into the middle of what is about to be a highly choreographed brawl.
All right. Yeah, I want to stop Samlin. Like,
Do
put
you
my
want to
hands.
try and
Yeah.
get Samlin out from the middle of this?
Yes. Like, no, wait.
Then I think it's risk because you're going to have to run out there across the ice and get Samlin up and out before the two marching lines meet.
All right. Yeah.
Does that seem right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of what state you'd be in with Scanlan running out there, or Samlin.
Angry? Are you feeling powerful? Are you scared?
I think I'm like angry that she's rushing into this. Like, no, we need more information.
She clearly didn't do it entirely voluntarily. The slipping on the ice and spinning out in the middle of it sort of gives that away. But yeah, let's have you roll mad.
Okay,
It tells us something about you.
8, 9, 10.
10. So tell me what that looks like.
As Samlin runs up, Feistus just comes up behind them, and as she slips on the ice, he reaches down quickly and grabs her and pulls her back and just like puts a hand in front of her face and gonna wait. They have knives.
Samlin, you fall, smack, have a look up, and then yoink, and Feistus has pulled you back up to the sidewalk, and you are muted.
I said, all right. Good. So I'm standing there.
And at that moment, these two lines meet, and it stops being like
funny.
kind of funny, and it goes to full on 36 folks going on a murder spree. Like they are stabbing each other, and you can hear the whatever music was going on, Feistus, it goes from like a major C to drops down to a minor D, and it's all like you hear on the one end somebody's like doing drums, like high percussion thing, and the other person is rapidly playing this a fiddle, and clearly they are brawling with bystanders. Would you like to get out of here or get involved?
Involved.
Feistus?
You get involved, I guess.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Hey, Zelda, you're free and clear.
And I look back and I see that Garzula is coming behind me.
Yeah, Garzula, do you think you're pretty athletic, right?
Talking to Garzula?
Yeah, Garzula, you're pretty athletic, right?
Yeah. He's a big guy though, so he's probably having to work it a little bit to get through that window.
Yeah, especially got a little bit of armor on. Yeah.
So I'll look and say, are the other two coming?
And he motions to his ears where you can see like these little bits of cloth stuffed in, and he sort of like he says he has his two fingers and he points to the front door.
Yeah, you guys are in the back alley. You can, in the distance, hear this. Maybe now the sounds of weapons clashing and that music.
Well, you see me just give this sort of darn them sort of thing, but they are my friends. I owe everyone. So I think I look at you with this sort of exasperated thing, and I start talking, and you can't hear me. And I look exasperated at that too. And I think that's the point where I look down at Rasputin And as I reach down to stroke his back, you just see my hand sort of go down into him, and the rest of me follow as he gets bigger.
Have you ever seen Zelda transform before, Garzula?
I think he's seen it once. I think that was and it's still just really creepy when it happens. Like, but it's not like a horrified, like, kind of shock. It's more like, ooh.
Can I have you roll final form?
Yes, indeed. And I think that I'm still worried about them. So I think I'm in a worried state. That's the whole reason I'm going. I would have just had us run out the bathroom and leave. That gives me a 10.
10. So there are no complications as you transform into this massive panther, which will make getting around to the front much faster and much easier than it would otherwise have been.
And I think I'm heading in, since I knew down away from our front door was the drum. I think I'm heading that direction around.
Cut around that way. Let me come back to Samlin and Feistus. Feistus, I hear you say you're in. And I suspect that Samlin probably sees that look of ugh on your face, like, yes, we're going to do this.
I know. I pinch his cheeks. I've seen the third and honored daughter do this to people. I pinch his cheeks, say yes, and then I cut off towards the sound of the feel of the drums.
Okay, so yeah, you're trying to rush that drummer. What is it that you want to do? You will see this guy. He's got a double drum kit and sticks.
Yep.
And he is working the drums and concentrating, and you can see the magic off of him. And this isn't just, he is a badass street bard.
Okay. So my intent is to destroy those drums, or at least get them off of him. So I am going to apply, as needed, blade, fist, and chain.
So that is called neutralize. When you use force to attempt to neutralize a threat, take control of the situation, or maintain hold, with the chance of taking harm yourself, roll. What do you want to roll with?
I think joy, because Feistus is in. That's sort of awesome.
Okay.
I like this feeling of brotherhood and being part of, a thing, which is sort of all new. It's awesome.
Perfect. Then roll. I'm with joy. I'll put a little check mark on your joy there.
Thank you. I'm going to roll. Oh my God.
What'd you get?
6.
6. Feistus, would you like to help or hinder?
I would like to help, yes.
Okay. Say how you do that. How you see Samlin kind of still can't hear you and takes off after the drummer and draws blade. How do you help Samlin with this?
I think I am going to. Do I see the other person there too? Like the violin you said?
Oh no. The drummer's on one side, Brawl in the middle, violinist on the other side.
Okay.
He's headed to the drummer.
I want to try and distract the drummer.
Okay.
So probably the easiest way is to use my magic to create like a fire thing, so that to kind of pull attention away from the fight and everything.
Absolutely. What do you want to roll with?
Let's go with probably fear, because someone's going to get themselves killed.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll with fear.
That's a 5.
That is a 5. So the two of you go to get at this drummer, and he sees you coming. And there's this moment where he's doing the drrr, and he has a boom, and smacks onto the drum, and you're both going to take 2 harm, and you are thrown back by the sonic wave, and just crash to the ground. If you've got armor, you can subtract it from that.
Okay. I do. Where do you put harm?
So harm is light, then severe, then critical.
Okay. Fortunately, my armor is good enough. Does that wreck the armor?
No, what that does is when you take 0 harm, you essentially are kind of knocked down. You're kind of in temporarily inconvenienced rather than actually suffering wounds there.
All right.
But both of you are splayed out on the sidewalk. Physis, do you have armor on?
No, I don't.
So Physis,
So I take a light and a severe.
what happens that you take that much damage?
There's when he hits it and I go flying back, there is like a cart with like different wood pieces and everything, and he just slams right into it, and he gets a couple splinters and kind of sends stuff everywhere.
Yeah. Hit against it, back of your head smashes into the wood. Feel that kind of thing where you feel the warmth of the blood running down the back of your neck from that. Garzula, what are you doing? Panther took off.
I think he's going to head back around to where he thinks his friends might be. Follow. It seemed like the Panther was running in that general direction too. So,
okay. So now the Panther kind of went around sort of the long way, but fast to get sort of behind where that drum sound is coming from. You could follow a little bit slower. You could go around the other way, or you could try and like get through, but be at a really risky position.
I think he's going to try and. You said the bar was in a basement, so is this building?
Yeah, so you'd have to like slip between these buildings, and you'd end up right in the middle of the whole mess.
In the interest of trying to get there quickly, he'll try and do that.
Sure. Roll risk. Let's see how this ends up, and then I'm going to come to the Panther.
I think he is feeling right now. He is feeling kind of guilty because his friends like went out right into the midst of this, and he went the other way.
So sad?
Yeah, I think he's on the sad end of things.
Okay. Mark sad and roll.
All right. That is a 5. I continue our record.
So you go kind of to slide between these buildings there. And as you do, you'll hear this. And you kind of look up, and you got like you're kind of doing this sideways like scoot, and you look up, and you will see this spectral form kind of in the snow roiling down the side of this building down towards you, and you're kind of stuck. And we are at the 11 o'clock, so that is where we're going to stop. Despite this being kind of a thing, we'll finish off this prologue next time, and then do our start of session moves, and do all of that stuff. Let me see. I'm going to give everybody. Let me just kind of check on XP. I'm going to give everybody 2 XP for today's session, in addition to whatever you got for failing rolls.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Is that okay? Thank you all very much. End of second session, we'll do roses and wishes and thorns and sunshines. and all of that. So thank you all very much. Session 0, we kind of got into a little bit of it. We'll roll. We'll see some more of your lives next time. This is just an attempt to kind of show you some of the action stuff. It'll be a little more open next time. So I'm going to stop the broadcast.